Hello, I'm Terrydavidmulligan, and this is the Terrydavidmulligan YouTube channel because we couldn't come up with a better name. Um, I want to thank you for being here and telling people about this and enjoying the experience. We love it. We love doing this. So we have some real friends coming by. David and Joy Landreth, the brothers Landreth from Winnipeg, Manitoba, who won a Grammy for writing the Bonnie Raitt hit Made Up Mind, which was theirs. She heard them sing it at the Winnipeg Folk Festival and years later recorded it and won a Grammy with it. And then she mentioned them and congratulated them on the Grammy telecast, which is a huge audience. And all of a sudden their world just exploded. I can't imagine how what the phones were like, what the emails were like. So anyway, they have just released their 9th album. It's called Dog Ear, which is when you turn a page over in a book to mark that page and then go to bed. That's a dog ear, that little flap. But it means more than that. It's a family thing, and they'll explain. So the brothers Landreth are about to tour Germany and Sweden and Norway and Denmark and all those places. Then down the States to all the blues clubs, all the clubs. And they'll be in Canada later next year, probably a year from now. Enjoy them while you can, because the world they're going to be sharing their music with the world. The brothers Landreth new album, Dog Ear, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. We're going to talk about Bonnie and Tukes. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you. Thank you. My name is Terrydavidmulligan. This is Mulligan's 2 CKUA Radio, the Mulligan's 2 podcast, and the TDM YouTube channel. Yes, it's an industry. David and Joey Landreth have joined me here. The brothers Landreth, the brothers Landreth. Did you ever tell me what you would have called yourself if you couldn't agree on the brothers Landreth as the name?
I think the other thing we were tossing around was the Landreth brothers.
Brace yourself for this.
Yeah.
Brace yourself for this one, Terry.
Are you sitting down, Terry? I don't think we had any other names in the running.
No, and the only thing we've come to regret is that we shortened it to Bros Dot, because it caused us more grief than it was worth. We should have just spelled it out.
It's astonishing when you go through like a border crossing, and that dot all of a sudden starts to show up, and what's the dot for? Anyway,
yeah.
Somebody asked me, ask the boys, who is the current touring band for the brothers Landreth? And we got you two, David, Joy. We got Roman. We got Murray.
Murray is only out occasionally.
Okay.
He won't be joining us for anything this year yet. Anything coming up yet? If things go wham bam, thank you ma'am, through the roof, super exciting, and suddenly we start selling more tickets and get moved into bigger venues, and we would love to bring a bigger band. But as of right now, we're sticking with the trio.
With the trio?
Yeah,
okay. So that means everybody's doing harmonies.
That's right. Everybody's working double duty.
That's right.
Okay. Congratulations on this album, Dog Ear. Here's the deal. I relate to it because you use the descriptor that it's a page turned over in a book or a Bible, whatever. So you can mark it as having been read or where you stopped. It's the very thing that my wife and I have a complete disagreement about. I hand her a beautiful new book, and the next day, all the pages are folded in. I'm going, don't do that. Don't. What about the rest of the people, the rest of the family who want to see? And so I kind of relate to it, but it's more than that. Tell me, just take us through, and it helps describe the album.
Well, it's a title track. So there's a song called Dog Ear, and the sort of premise of that song is, sort of using imagery all over the place in the song, but how we kind of want to be sort of safe havens for our kids. And so as parents wanting to be that sort of the dog ear in your story, the shoreline to your sea, that kind of thing. Like we'll always be there. We'll always be where you can find us when you need us. And that's something that both Dave and I feel very strongly in our sort of dad's strategy is just to be that pillar. And so that's the thing that we've spent a lot of time thinking about and talking about and exploring, uh, both together and apart. And we're fortunate we're raising our young families at the same time. So there's lots of like, hey, I think I'm messing up here. What do you think? And lot of shared sort of experience. And so, yeah, I mean, that's an ineloquent way of sort
Oh,
of
that's eloquent.
describing what that song is about. But
Well,
yeah, that's
and it won't be the last time you tell that story because I mean the whole album is basically it's about connection, it's about reconnection, it's about regret, it's about holding yourself accountable, Dave. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, fully. And it was fun. It was a fun record to write because these are things that we didn't really think about in our 20s and even our 30s. And these ideas are kind of born a lot from parenthood and starting families and this different phase of life where it is suddenly feels really good to put down roots and be a little more stable and consistent. And you start thinking and wondering about different things, and especially with kids on the scene, makes you reassess who you are and who you are to these people and who they are to you. So it was uh, a real joy to sort of lean into those things and write about something new because I think when a lot of our earlier records were about dealing with the things that were immediately in front of us,
Yeah.
there's like we've always Joy and I've always written songs to help us understand how we feel and how we feel about the world and ourselves and each other. Um, but in those younger years, that a lot of that stuff is really what's right in front of your nose. Um, and now that we're in this different phase of life, there's kind of space to take a step back and think about things a little more broadly, and I think a lot of that ends up on this record.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Besides Dog Ear, name a couple other tracks that I can play that walk down that same road.
Uh, Dog Ear's a big one. Strange Deer is another one for sure. Um, that's another one that's sort of these little vignettes and prayers for our kids, hopes and dreams for them, um, and just sort of, hopefully poetically, uh, celebrates the joy of being able to look at your kids.
I
And
have a thing, I might have told you this before, that with an album, something draws me to the last track first. I don't start 1 through 11, I go 11. Because to me, it's the most personal message that the artist is,
oh,
the songwriter.
interesting.
And I go directly to the last track. I'm sure marketing goes crazy on this. And I'm fascinated by the conversations they're having with yourself and with us in that last moment. So the interesting thing is that Strange Deer is the last track, but I make it see a note that it was the first one written.
Yeah, it was. And I think in a lot of ways it did open the door thematically for a lot of the stuff that we explored on the record, or certainly where my head was at. I mean, when you finish it, like I think there's a couple different ways of making records. There's a million different ways of making records. But for us, often what happens is we go in and we just make things, and then you stand back and you go, okay, now how do we sum this up? How do we make this feel cohesive? What's the thread? And I know some people will go into projects very deliberately. I'm writing a song about uh, a son who goes off to World War One and his experience in France or whatever, like really specific, precise storytelling. And for us, it's like we go into this sandbox, we just make a bunch of shit, and then we kind of have to figure out like, okay, where were our heads at, and what are the themes that tie this all together? Um, and honestly, some of that is sometimes that's for marketing, because the everybody's going like, hey, you got to make a story out of this batch of songs. But almost always what happens is we discover that there really was this byline, and you don't figure it out until you're looking at it in hindsight, and then some of these things become clear.
And you needed an extra voice in there.
Yeah, well, yeah. You want to speak to that?
yeah. Well, we yeah. we invited our friend Alexa to come and sing on that tune, and she was the lead singer in my very first band, like when I was sort of 18 years old and getting out on the scene and starting to play. She was the lead singer in our first band, and she's gone off on her own these past 20 years. And uh,
as Begonia.
as Begonia, that's right. And it just felt really, really appropriate to have her.
Full circle.
Uh, yeah, exactly. To have her come and feature on that song, and also, just to have known a person, both personally and creatively. She also co-wrote a bunch of songs on our very first record.
Yeah.
So it's just really fun, and it's fun to finally have her voice heard, um, her literal voice heard instead of just her lyrics be lent. She also co-wrote a song on 87 as well. So yeah, she's been a collaborator of ours for a long time, and this song just felt like it could use the sort of beautiful, honest delivery that only she can provide.
Do you know who has albums coming out in a week?
Alexa. No.
No. Tara Lightfoot and Marielle Buckley
Oh, of course.
on the same day, Friday the 11th.
Wow.
And that's how I started the interview with Marielle. I said, it was David Landreth who corrected me and said, uh, it's not Marielle, it's Marielle. And she blurted out, Dave's doing the Lord's work. That's fantastic. Dave and my mother, Dave and my mom. So now it's everybody's time comes. Everybody's time comes. It's your turn. It's their turn. Everybody's being heard, which is beautiful. And I especially am proud of this particular time in the Canadian music business, where so many Indigenous voices are being heard and seen on film, on stage,
Mhm.
writing. It's a really interesting time. Um, uh, I wonder what you might have learned from the success of Bonnie covering your song. Um, about
Hmm.
the writing of the song. When you wrote it, it was its own song, and then it took a life of its own. And I'm kind of wondering if you looked at these songs slightly differently, wondering where they would go.
I don't think we did, and maybe we should have. But, I think for better or worse, Dave described the songwriting process. We certainly have always been, and maybe this will one day change, and maybe it's something that grows with age or maybe not. But we have always been sort of the creative dump type where we just sort of take the last, call it 18 months to 2 years worth of experiences and put them in a basket and empty it out onto the bed and kind of sift through it. That's always been sort of the process.
Yeah.
And we talked back when Bonnie released that tune. I'm pretty sure, or at least we've had a conversation, between then and now. And so, you'll definitely remember that um, we never set out to write a song for our hero. It just sort of happened, and I don't think that that's despite that happening, I don't think that that's going to change, just because you don't get that lucky twice in a row. But we this has always been something that's deeply personal to us, and I think in order for it to land and be effective with the people who like our music, it kind of has to stay in that realm. But I would say, like, we certainly have learned um, to dream a little bigger because you know something which seemed impossible. I mean, the last handful of years with playing Crossroads, the Eric Clapton Crossroads Festival, to having Bonnie cover our songs, those are two things that we never, ever, ever thought would happen. And so now we're kind of like, maybe we should just ask more people to hang out
Yeah.
and just see what happens.
I think
And
that's
so we're doing more of that.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing that came out of that was just that this world that we're a part of is bigger and maybe even a little bit kinder and more welcoming than we ever imagined. Because these people become these monolithic heroes, and they're made other stuff, you know, they're not like us mere mortals. And then you meet them, and I think what Bonnie did is she just kind of gave us permission to dream a little bigger, because
Wow.
it's like suddenly these people are like, you see the humanity, and most importantly, I think the thing that I learned was, and this more so about watching her cover, or sorry, watching her collaborate with us on these tracks on our record now, is seeing the artistry in it and recognizing, oh, like we do that too. Like we're doing this same thing. You're doing it at this level that I can't even comprehend. You've got this discography that, like, you know, is biblical, and uh yet we're like, we're actually just doing the same thing. And suddenly it just brought a humanity to it that just, yeah, I think we've talked about a lot. It's like this just makes us want to collaborate more and reach out to these people that inspire us, as fellow artists. Just be like, hey, you ever want to make something? You ever want to hang out? You ever want to play a show? Because you just never know what's going to happen.
You know, you're just in the family business. That's all you're doing. You're honoring the family business. That's what.
Yeah, that's a cool way of putting it.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject of Bonnie, which is a great subject, Knuckles. Dave, take us through the formation of Knuckles and how Bonnie got there. This is the best story.
Okay, so I mean, we've talked a lot about Bonnie, so we'll catch up your listeners at warp speed here. But we met in 2014 at the Winnipeg Folk Festival. We became pals. She blew our minds by inviting us backstage to hang out, and then, you know, we stayed in touch for the better part of a decade, and
Yep.
we passed some music along to her and welcomed her to help herself to any of our songs if she ever needed one. And the legend is that when she saw us play at the folk festival, she heard us play Made Up Mind and decided on the spot that she wanted to cut it someday, somehow. And she made good on that nearly 10 years later. And she put it out on her last record. It was the first single. It was a bit of a hit for her. Spent a bunch of time number one on the radio. And then her version of it went on to win a Grammy. So that was a trip. And then through that, we'd crossed paths a couple of times, and we met her piano player, Glenn, who's a former Winnipegger,
Yep.
who went on to make his name for himself in New Orleans and New York City. Now he's in Halifax. But so he plays in Bonnie's band. We connected with him. We invited him to play on the record. We had this wonderful magical experience. And when we were done, he said, you know, you guys really got to send some of these tracks to Bonnie. And we're like, nah, we could never do that. You know, really? Yeah. And he was like, yeah, yeah, send us. He was like, I'll warm her up, and, you know, I'll give her the heads up or whatever. So we did. We just sent her the record and just said, Bonnie, you know, we love you. You're a hero. If there's any world where some of this connects with you and you want to lend your voice, your guitar playing, whatever, let us know. And she came back and said, I love the record. Could I sing on a couple of tracks? She wound up singing background vocals on Half Moon Eyes,
Yeah.
and then she wound up singing a duet with Joey on Knuckles. And yeah, and that's how,
Was it the song? Was it the song, the lyrics? What drew her? The song, the lyrics, the friendship, the connection?
I don't know. I mean,
that's a good question.
I feel like the friendship was there. And she'd been teasing over the last couple of years the idea of collaborating somehow.
Okay.
You know, and so we had, and you know, her manager had a conversation with our manager saying like, hey, throw some ideas our way. You know, no promises, but if something lands, like it would be cool to do something together. And so we knew that it was, you know, possible, but we just didn't want to push it, and we wanted it to feel, you know, organic and feel good. So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, she had initially said the three songs that sort of stood out to her that she could add to would be Knuckles, Half Moon Eyes, and Dog Ear. And she said pick one, and we sort of said we can't, you know, just sing on whatever connects with you the most. And then on the day of the recording, or the day before the recording, I think she called us and said, I can't choose. How do you guys feel about me singing on two? And we were like, yeah, pretty good actually. Let us think about it. Yes. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but she's an incredibly she's a very, very, it won't surprise you at all to know, but she's an incredibly deep listener to everything.
Yeah.
And, much like yourself, Terry, like it surprises me sometimes when we have the chance to talk to her and she'll pick out some little detail from a recording or from a thing. And and that then like this person, much like us when we listen to music, is listening very deeply. So I wouldn't be surprised to find out that she was connected to the story of the song and felt like she could add something to it. But either way, it's pretty incredible.
And Dave, so thanks, Joey. The reference to knuckles and punching bag. Do you want to just define that for the audience so they understand what it's about?
Yeah, the song is about being in conflict with somebody you love. And it was written about a very specific sort of relationship. But I think uh, when I was working on that song initially, before I brought it to the guys, what I was really trying to capture was this idea that sometimes when things get to a point in a relationship, and it's not like a self-righteous or a pious way, but like sometimes the last good thing you can do for somebody is to let them take it out on you. It's like
Yeah,
it's a parting gift. It's a grace because
yeah,
whatever that it is that would need to happen for you guys to move forward in a better way is so hard, is so big that it's too much to ask of that person, and you're kind of letting them off the hook, and you let yourself be a bit of a punching bag as a final farewell. And that's what that song is about, if that makes sense.
okay. And Joey, let me because we kind of skipped over it. I'm, as you well know, because we have the same references. I'll drive. I needed a song like that at that time of my life. I needed something to play in the car because I had some driving to do. Love that song. Was it a demo? Was it an old song that found its way again? What happened? Oh
No,
no,
well,
co-write.
yeah, it's a co-write. Well, and I mean, funny enough, not really at this point, like the patterns are pretty well established, but one of our favorite collaborators to write with is a fella named Jonathan Singleton, and he co-wrote Made Up Mind with us, as well as
What in the world?
What in the World
Gone
and
Girl?
Gone Girl off of my first solo record and
After the Rain?
After the Rain. Yeah, we've written with him a lot. And Dave runs the publishing company, so he's got
Yeah.
like encyclopedic
Nice,
knowledge
nice.
of every, yeah.
I got the credits in here.
Yeah, yeah. But so we had gone down to Nashville to write with him, and we had booked, I think, 3 or 4 days with him. And we had a couple of things we wanted to work on with him, one song we wanted to finish, and we had kind of gotten through everything that we wanted to. And then he said, well, we still have some time left. Like, should we knock another one around? It's like, sure. And so and he just started to do his thing. And we immediately went, yeah, yeah, yeah. Keep going, keep doing that. So he started to sing, I started to play guitar underneath, and then, before we knew it, it came together. And so he's one of those collaborative partners that we have yet to miss with him. And he's just he has such a great way with words, and he takes us to places that we won't often go on our own. So he's a great partner in that regard. But yeah, I mean, and then the other side of that is that we spend more time behind the wheel of a vehicle than we do behind guitars. So
Or anything else for that matter.
or literally anything else for that matter. So it comes as no surprise, and people have started to pick up on it. They're like, "Boys, there's a lot of songs about driving." It's like, well, guess what we do the most of,
That's true.
and so yeah, I mean, it's I mean, we had basically a love song about going for a drive on the last record too,
Yeah.
Drive All Night, and
Yeah. We had to change the title of one of the tracks so that we didn't have two songs with the word drive. The
yeah,
song Wide Awake and Dreaming was driver's seat in its first
Yeah.
yeah,
manifestation.
And we've had that conversation about you write songs that become successful about being away from home and driving, being on the road, and yep, that's the family business. And then the regret follows, and it's just this yin yang between between being home, being on the road. What do I want to be? Who do I want to be? Where's my family? Where am I? Where's my career? It's
Yeah.
just all of that. It's crazy. One of you made a comment about discarded mutts, referencing your songs. Where are the discarded mutts on this album? Yeah.
Uh, there were only a few.
And we're probably going to cut them like for another project. I think there's one song that didn't make that we fully recorded, mixed and mastered, and then decided it wasn't going to make the record.
Yeah.
And that was actually another song that we wrote with Jonathan, and no fault of his. It just didn't seem to fit the collection.
Yeah.
Um, and so we've got that. We'll probably put that out later because we think it's a great song. It was just like every time we were listening through the track listing, we that song would come on, and we'd all kind of go like, skip. Oh no, we can't. You know,
Are you saying you have a bag full of songs just sort of off to the side of the sofa?
Yeah. Yeah. A couple. Like I wouldn't say
Very
a bag
nice.
full, but
like a
there's
small Ziploc bag,
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Like one of the slightly bigger sandwich bags, if you're going for a
A
double-decker sandwich.
dessert dish with a couple things left on it, like a Nanaimo bar and like one of those little butter tarts.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're great, but you don't necessarily like they wouldn't go with the party spread that we have. They're fantastic desserts on their own, but they just belong somewhere else. That's the first time we've ever had that problem. We've always written exactly as many songs as we needed for the project. And this time we actually sifted through probably 20 songs to get to these. And that was a really fun thing to have too many.
There's a lot of people out there. David and Joey Landreth, brothers Landreth. New album is Dog Year. Dog Year. Some people would think because there's success coming your way, well earned, by the way, that happiness abounds. Does it?
I would say this is the I'll let you speak to this. Maybe we'll answer this question in parts. I don't want to put words in your mouth. This is the happiest I've ever been. And that has a lot more to do with where my life is outside of work
Yeah.
and music. And my family is healthy. I'm having more fun being a dad than I ever imagined was possible. I'm a little bit older. I'm a little more secure and confident. We're at a point in our career where things feel a little less manic and a little just a slight bit more peaceful. And I genuinely am happy. It has very little to do with the success of the music, though. I think the success or lack of the success, I think it has more to do with just like investing in all these other places in my life, which allows me to enjoy the music part a lot more because everything else is good and it just takes the pressure. Like whether things go extremely well or horribly, like it really doesn't matter. I'm living my dream. I get to do the thing that I always wanted, and yeah,
How's Birthday Cake doing? The record company.
doing really, really
But
well.
it appears is fantastic.
Yeah, doing really, really well. Yeah, I mean that's a whole other conversation, but that's been a really wonderful thing to watch and be a part of,
And the
and
signings, the people coming through on the label, love it, love it, love it, love it.
thanks, Terry. Yeah, we're really proud of it.
Man, oh man. Um, you got a tour. I just got them on the screen here. November, McKinney, Texas, the Guitar Sanctuary, the 22nd at Fort Worth at the Magnolia Motor Lounge. Watch that. Austin on the November 23rd at Anton's.
Yeah.
There's a stage. Los Angeles, the Moroccan Lounge. Then you head for Europe in February. And
Yeah,
just keep going.
and then we basically just keep going. Yeah, we're kind of this year is closing out. This was a bit of a down year for us, which was great because Anna and I had our second little one, and so we had our hands pretty full. So there was not a ton of traveling this year, which was good. But yeah, we've got one more trip this year, and then we're hitting the road pretty hard next year, and we're really excited. Like we're really, really excited.
Where are the Canadian dates?
We don't have them confirmed yet, but we're looking at no or November. We're looking at the fall of 26. So the band will be primed and tight and ready to go by the time we're hitting home crowds. So
Only you
we'll
do.
be taking out all of the early jitters on the Europeans.
Only you would have the entire year to choose, and then pick the freeze your ass off in November.
Right. Yeah, you do. It does call into question our planning.
Well, it's like because there's like I think there's to be honest, it's either you're playing festivals in the summer or you're touring during cold months in Western Canada. There's not really
Yeah.
there's in Western Canada, at least in our part of Western Canada, there's not really seasons. It's either summer or it's fucking sorry, or it's very cold.
Question: what happens if the most countrified song on the album, Tumbling Wild, turns out to be a country hit, and Nashville calls and the country world calls?
I'll be going getting size for like viper skin cowboy boots, and I'll get a 10-gallon hat.
Full
Boy, and
country.
I'll start tucking in my shirts and my belt buckles. Yeehaw!
I'm gonna go more for the overalls and the straw and
Knock out a couple of teeth.
knock out a couple teeth and change my name to Cletus.
Well, by the way, I love what Glenn brought to the recording session with his keys. I really did. Love the sound of it. Love the harmonies in there. Just liking it a lot.
Oh, Terry, thanks,
Thanks, man. That means a lot.
One of these days,
Am I the only one getting instrumentals? Was that just a bonus, or what happened?
I think they come along with the disco link, probably.
It's not band tracks; it's instrumentals of the songs.
Yeah. Yep. I'll have to take it up with the label. I think they're probably just giving you the whole kit and caboodle.
It's fantastic, because me of all people, I need that stuff. I have
Great.
if at the end of an hour and I've got 90 seconds, I can do Soul Man Sam and Dave, but then I have to fade them out. You can't fade out Sam and Dave,
You
No,
can't.
but an instrumental you can do. Yeah, and I
Oh,
also need
please.
a theme song for the show. So my people will be talking to your people.
Use and abuse.
Thank you.
I was just joking though. I was like, one of these days, Terry, we're gonna put out a record you're not gonna like, and it's gonna make a really interesting conversation.
I'm waiting.
Has that ever happened to you? Has that ever happened to you? You have an artist you've been talking to for a decade, 2 decades. You love them. They put out a record that stinks. What do you say?
I tell them.
No way.
Yeah, I have to
Give me an
tell them.
example.
I say it's not for me. It missed me, completely missed me. I'm sorry, but I'll
Who
see
have
you
you
on the
said
other
that to?
side, and I'll help promote the tours and the merch. By the way, speaking of merch, I got all this merch stuff coming from Brothers Landreth, but I don't see toques in there.
Oh,
How do we get through winter?
so we like 5 years ago, I added a 0 accidentally to our toque order, and I was like, sure, we ordered 500 toques, but we had been ordering batches of 50, and we'd sell them out seasonally, and they showed up on a delivery truck in front of my house, and I was like, oh, what have I done? And it took us. We're still getting rid of them, so I'm gun shy on toques.
No, we got to do them this year. We got to do them this year.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll send you one, Terry.
I want to thank you for your time. I hope to
Anytime,
actually
Terry.
physically see you at some point. Okay.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Likewise.
Thank you, boys. Thank you so much.
Good to meet you,
Congratulations.
Terry.
Take care, Terry.
Thank you.